This is my 25 Latitude build. It took a lot of work and patience to get there, but I'm going to show you how I did it. I'm going to show you the cost, the timeline, and the step-by-step process of the build. I'm going to start this video off with the first thing that I bought, and that was my almighty trailer. I actually bought the trailer before the boat was sprayed in the mold. I would say, go ahead and put one of those on there. Go ahead and put that on there.
So you want an extra bow stop?
An extra bow stop and an extra tire. And I think everything else standard.
185.
Okay. So I parked it in my backyard. I took the tires off of it. I put some locks on it. And I left it there for the next 10 months. So here was the big day. April 4th, 2020. The boat was sprayed in the mold. And you can see here, April 9th, Shane started doing the fiberglass work. So about a month later, the boat's still coming along pretty good. They got all the stringers in it. This is where they brace up the transom. The transom's thick, but it's not insanely thick. It does take the extra long through holes. I think the transom itself's about 3 inches thick. May 20th, the boat got popped out of the mold. So we went down there and watched Shane use the little hoist thing to pop it out and everything. It was a pretty neat day. We're 3 months later. We've now got the gas tank in. I would have just gone to the place and bought the fuel tank to save the time. I think I could have knocked that down if I would have bought it myself, and we wouldn't have had to wait for that. Then they got the liner all done and popped out of the mold there. So this is how the liner gets put in. You can see they've already got the forward live well in and everything. The deck and liner get fiberglassed into place. Once the deck's put into place, they put some weight on it and leave it for a few days. I'm taking measurements here to see how long my steering lines need to be. No one could quite give me the exact answer, so I just had to figure it out myself. I ended up using 22-foot lines, which are a few feet too long, but the other option was 18-foot lines, and I didn't think they were quite long enough. It was going to be a little bit too close. The console is being made here. It's almost Christmas, and we're just dropping off the trailer. January 3rd, Shane got the console on, and he's starting to put the hatches on the boat. And January 16th, 2021, we've been waiting for this day the whole time. This is where my work begins and Shane's work ends. We finally picked up the boat and got it all paid for and everything. We sprayed the bunks with water and then just winched the boat on the trailer. I had to have the boat that day because everything else that I had planned in the future, getting the motor on, starting the TTop process was all going to happen the very next week, so I had to have it that day. January 17th, this is where the work really starts for me. So the first day we threw trim tabs on it, then we had to install the drains into the side of the boat. So that was pretty fun. I took a hole saw and drilled right through the side of the boat. January 19th, I must have lost all my photos of this. We put the motor on with a forklift. At first I had the wrong bolts. I had to run to Ace Hardware. We put the motor on in probably 2 hours, but it really should have taken like 30 minutes. So this was my biggest question in the whole boat build, was the T-top. Who was going to do it, how much it was going to cost, and how long it was going to take. On my previous boat I had a hardtop, and that was great, but I really wanted to stand through a T-top, and really the only way I was going to be able to afford that was doing a soft top, which kind of worked out better. I think Chris and his team fabbed this thing up in like a day. He needed the boat there, and that's the main part that I was waiting on for this top, is I had to have the boat there, because he wanted to make sure everything fit perfectly onto the console. He also built the leaning post and did a 3-section tray into it, which is really nice for keeping tackle and stuff separated from your keys and your phone. So Chris doesn't do any of the upholstery work or the canvas, so I had my buddy Tom do all the canvas work and upholstery stuff, and he did a great job with it. We had to pick out and order materials for it. Once Chris was done with all the aluminum, I was able to take it to Tom's place. We measured it out, ordered up the materials, and then Tom got to work on it. Each weekday I'd get an hour or two to work on it before the sunset and everything got too dark. So I would just work as hard and as fast as I possibly could. And right here I'm throwing the compass on it. So you can see the chunk of fiberglass that came out of the hole saw here from the top of the console. But the thin one there from the hull of the boat, that's solid fiberglass. And the top one from where the compass came out, that's mostly foam. So here I'm drilling out the steering wheel spot. So here I got my two Group 31 AGM batteries. Got them all mounted into place there. And that's my steering cables. I ran those through the chase tubes there. This is where the steering cables come out the back of the boat, along with the engine wiring harness. I had to measure it up really nice. I used a measuring tape, a square, and a compass, and I got it all pretty much perfect. You only get one shot at it, so you want to make sure it's perfect. Next I'm taping off the console here. There I was able to throw on the switches for the boat. I went with the basic ones because they're really easy to switch out if any of them break. Then we had to put on the hydraulic steering for the boat. My dad and I did this in about 4 hours. You have to bleed the steering system a couple times. That same day we had some extra time, so we cut a hole out for the Humminbird. We were kind of on a roll at that point, so we're like, let's just throw the VHF on and the throttle on too. The next day I put the Suzuki gauge on. Then with my Humminbird, I only did a transom mount transducer. It ended up working out pretty awesome. I went with the Gemlux screwless rod holders on this boat. I have 14 of them around the boat, and they worked out really nice. They're nice and strong, and I won't ever have to worry about them. We're getting everything else wired up in here. Devin's made a few more trips by. I ended up putting a bunch of lights on this boat so we could go tuna fishing. So you can tell on your screen when those tuna are around, and you can see that thing came straight up. Oh, we got another one on the flat line. All right, well, that was pretty nice. All right, we let her go. Got all black oak LEDs on it. Devin was coming by after work and spending a few hours each night on it. He spent about 10 hours in total on it, and he did a really nice job. And the boat's pretty much finished now. We got the TTop on it. I didn't really film any of that, but my best friend and I put it on in an afternoon. Then you can see here in February, we got our first actual offshore trip with it. I took it in the bay a few times to make sure it was good. Everything was working right. And then its first trip offshore, we did a little 50-mile trip. Caught some red snapper, big amberjack. It was a pretty fun day.